Welcome to the Hastings Shadmehry Show.
I'm Andee Hastings.
And I'm Mali Shadmehry.
Together, we own Hastings Shadmehry, an Atlanta-based law firm specializing in family law.
This is a space where we talk all things family law and all topics that touch the area of family law, from divorce to custody to self-growth, personal empowerment, and more. We bring you the truth, from our wolf pack to yours. Hello, and welcome to the Hastings Shadmehry Show. I'm one of your hosts, Mali Shadmehry.
And I'm Andee Hastings.
We are so happy to have you here today. We have an interesting topic we're going to get to, but first, I am going to ask my BFF, my partner in crime, Andee Hastings, are you a warrior or a diplomat today?
I'm feeling diplomat today.
Okay.
I'm definitely leaning. We have several cases right now that are in a mediation posture. Mm-hmm. And, people want to bring things to conclusion, and so we're facilitating that to the extent that we can, even with difficult people on the other side.
Yes.
How about you? Are you feeling like a warrior or a diplomat?
I am also a diplomat today. I've just had, even in my personal life, a lot of my friends just are having a tough time. I'm like a supporting force right now for a lot of people around me, and I enjoy doing that and being a strong person when people are, having a rough moment. And my clients as well, some of my consultations I've had just have led me to just need to be a calm kind of force for my people. So I don't have any huge trials coming up or things like that, so I've been kind of enjoying just letting my nervous system kind of flow. I've been working on a lot of things for the firm on marketing. I was up last night till 2 a.m. trying to pretend like I know what I'm doing with marketing stuff. And we are having so much fun. Our year anniversary for Hastings Shadmehry is coming up in September.
Yes, it is.
So we're getting ramped up for that, and just sort of our brand and our culture here is really starting to gel, and kind of seeing our entity grow and see this organization like start to have a personality and all these things that we've been like planting for so long is so fun. So I went to the gym last night. I did some glutes and I worked out till like 10 o'clock and then went home and got on my little Canva and pretended like I knew what I was doing, and it is a good time.
You're having fun. That's really all that matters.
Yeah.
Because that comes through.
So, Andee, what are we talking about today?
So I was thinking we could help people understand there are things that come up in cases that clients often don't understand and might misinterpret. And it has to do with professional courtesy and professionalism among lawyers. So I was thinking maybe we can just talk about that a little bit to help people understand some of the why behind certain strategic decisions that we make, and provide professional courtesy to other lawyers.
I can sort of kick it off by saying I have had clients in the past say, Mali, I see you're Facebook friends with this lawyer. What do y'all know about each other? Or I see that my spouse's lawyer is Facebook friends with the guardian ad litem. They're looking at that sort of stuff. And also, Mali, why should we give grace to the other lawyer if they're asking for an extension on things? Why would we do that? And I think that those sort of questions are valid. I would want to know that if I were a client.
Absolutely.
It's definitely legitimate. And what really matters to me is that my clients trust me, and that's established over time. Actions speak louder than words. Trust has to be established with your client from the time they call your law firm until the time their case closes out. And so professional courtesy and how we carry ourselves, sort of an etiquette-based philosophy, is really important. And it's actually should be a red flag if you have a lawyer that is just downright ugly to the other side. That's trashy. And we don't do that here. So
100%.
Yeah.
And it comes up in these very specific ways sometimes. For instance, we had a case, this was several months ago, and we were scheduled for a temporary hearing, and the opposing lawyer had a child that fell very ill. And technically that's not a legal conflict, but we immediately worked with them. They notified the court, they notified us, and we worked with them to come up with the next available date. That's a human courtesy and a professional courtesy that can go a long way in your case. And while it's frustrating, because the last thing we want to do is delay anything in the case. But there are times, and it's important for your case, as well as the process, because the judge sees how you act through your lawyer, the other lawyer does, and there's going to come a moment in time where you might need some sort of courtesy and consideration. And that's what I tell people all the time, is you never know when that's going to come back around. And it comes up in all kinds of ways that, I mean, we could sit here and just list them for probably 20 minutes. And it's important that we keep that in mind, that we are all humans. We do have Facebook friends that we go against in cases, but we still maintain a level of professional courtesy that's a requirement of our profession, and our judges expect it. And if we don't conduct ourselves that way, we will get a reputation for that. Judges will know that, and they could end up punishing you for that. And that is the last thing that we want.
By like already putting a flavor in the judge's mouth of like being stubbornly litigious is one of the things the law says you should not do. And so by association, when you're the client walking into a courtroom with an attorney with that reputation, the judge may be rolling their eyes internally before y'all even sit down. And you know, a couple tricks of the trade, some insider information. The deputies and the bailiffs in courtrooms are some of the most telling resources. Those are the people that they sit in the courtroom day in and day out. They get to see good, bad, ugly attorneys. They see it all. They also get to hear insight from the judges staff. And I've been told by deputies and bailiffs before, ooh, when that lawyer walks into the courtroom, everybody in here rolls their eyes because we know that he or she is going to drag this out, talk about so much irrelevant stuff. Everybody's going to be in here needlessly. Even the judge says so. I've heard it. So it really matters how your lawyer carries themselves. You want a lawyer that's going to set the tone for how we're going to communicate as counsel. You do not want to be paying me to just sit there and send mean emails all day.
No.
That's not getting us anywhere. And I think you have to be very responsible with how you structure the flow of your litigation, including how you handle your opposing counsel. Another sort of insider thing that I think a lot of people should know, if you have a good family law attorney, of course, they're going to be friends with the other good family law attorneys. Family law, especially in the Atlanta area where we are, is a very small circle and a tight circle. And when you all know each other and work together frequently, and we all go to events together and all those sorts of things, yeah, these are very professional friendships. So get used to that. That's actually a good thing. When your attorney knows their opponent, we're going to know what games they're going to play, vice versa. So it's just something to think about. I think one of the most common ways I see this come up, kind of based on what you were saying from the beginning, so opposing counsel is going to ask for a favor here and there. They're going to say, can you cut me a break here? When we do things in your case, they're usually bound by timelines in which we have to respond. And that's really one of my most frequent ways I see attorneys reach out and say, hey, can you please give me a week extension before you go file a motion with the judge because I didn't timely respond? Can you please work with me on this? I usually tell my client, look, and I don't ask my client first. I tell the other lawyer, yes, that sounds good. If somebody starts to abuse it multiple times in a case,
Right.
I will say, look, in the interest of pushing this case over the finish line, we just can't do this. You're going to have to do it right this time. I can't give you another extension. But to give one extension, first of all, a judge is going to expect that you would have done that. And that will come up at some point in your case. Yeah, I would say probably 60-70% of the time when you've been nice along the way and you're at a final hearing later, you can bring those things up to show and build credibility with the judge. We've done everything we can to accommodate, not be overly litigious, and get everybody the information they need and get us to a conclusion. I will tell my clients, look, I gave them a week extension. The judge will expect that we would have done this. That's because my judges, especially in Forsyth County where I kind of have grown up as a lawyer, they taught me, you better be polite, and you better be polite to people outside this jurisdiction. And we work with people here because the judge doesn't want y'all coming in there over stupid, piddly arguments. If you're in there, it's because something huge is going on. They don't want to hear about, well, they didn't produce documents. The judge would say, you should have worked together and figured out a plan to make it happen. So judges expect that we work together in granting extensions and things like that. And if lawyers can get into a headspace where our job is not necessarily to fight with each other, I think people assume that about lawyers, and people with big personalities and lawyers, people see a certain personality and say, oh, she's going to love to be a fighter. And that's actually, for me, that's not me. I like to find common ground with people, see what we can agree on. And if there's things we cannot, we're going to meet somewhere in the middle, or else we'll have a judge be the tiebreaker. That's my philosophy.
I completely agree. And it's interesting. I'm interested on your take on this because I feel like there are people in the community that view us as aggressive lawyers. And so, how do you reconcile that with what we're talking about? I have my
Yeah.
thoughts, but I'm interested on what yours are.
I have definitely seen some commentary online about, ooh, Mali Shadmehry, Hastings Shadmehry, they're going to be aggressive. These are the trial attorneys. Like, don't go there if you want to get settled, basically. And that's not true. And by the way, beware of keyboard warriors. And I definitely disagree with that. It's actually kind of offensive if you knew me as a person and how intimate. This is just my personal mentality, and I can try to apply it more broadly, but this is a very personal topic for me. When I see people saying things online, I'm like, you have no idea. Yes, there can be a very scary presence in that courtroom when needed, but that's only when needed, and that should be rare when you're a great trial attorney. My philosophy is, and I think the philosophy at this firm is, as a client, you're blessed because you have a double-edged sword here in the best way possible, meaning you've got an assassin in the courtroom who is, honestly, yes, the wolf pack here, we thrive in the courtroom. I would say all of our lawyers would probably sit here and tell you, hey, what's your favorite part of your job, court? We love it. And when someone's talented and has a passion to be in the courtroom, of course, you're going to see us there. And we're not going to be afraid to take it there when needed. And you would be surprised. There are a lot of attorneys that subscribe to, okay, we're amicable. That means we don't go to court or whatever it is. And that's great, but you really don't want the attorney that is going to shut down when stuff gets real and we need to go to court. My philosophy, and I think our philosophy here, is exhaust all avenues of settlement, be creative, be savvy, be sophisticated and finessed in different approaches you can take on getting settled. Keep in mind the cost of each different approach, discuss that with your client, be responsible and be polite to your opposing counsel to try to get there. And if you cannot, and we need to go to trial, it's not going to be because we weren't being reasonable. We were going to be thorough, well-planned, and if we can't get to a reasonable resolution, it's time for a judge to decide. And why that has turned into you're the aggressive attorneys, you're in trial, I don't see it that way at all.
I don't either. I tell people all the time, I know you know this, but I'm also a mediator and a collaboratively trained lawyer. I handle collaborative cases. We mediate cases all the time. And, we've talked about this before. And I think that it's like you're conflating ideas, because when we've exhausted all avenues of resolution for your case, you want somebody who's going to walk into the courtroom and fight for you. And if somebody calls that aggressive, I guess then so be it. Mm-hmm. But I think it's a misnomer, and it really misrepresents what we do. Because at every step in the process, we are zealously trying to protect our clients. Whether or not, I don't think that has to look like aggressive, destructive behavior throughout the course of the case. And so to the extent that people think that because they think that we're aggressive, we are aggressive about our clients. I mean, I think that's 100% true, but not in the way that they mean it.
Right.
Even through settlement. If we're in mediation, I'm going to aggressively protect my client. Mm-hmm. And Mali is too. Every lawyer in this office is. But sometimes lawyers are like, well, then I'll see you in court. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, well, don't threaten me with a good time, because and I mean, I'm being a little funny, but the reality is that's not a threat. To some lawyers, it's a threat.
That's right.
The lawyers to whom court is a threat are the ones that sometimes view us as aggressive.
And we get referred cases from lawyers that don't want to go to court. They will nurse the case along and try to settle it, and then they're like, all right, Mali, we need you guys to take this over. It's going to be hotly contested in the courtroom. Can you take it? And of course we do. But those clients are spending way more money than they need to if we would have just handled it from the beginning, because now we have to go relearn all the information your previous lawyer already knew and all of those things. So that's why I'm saying, if it were me, I would want the lawyer that could take it all the way, but that would hopefully get it done early on in the stages, so that you wouldn't have to go all the way to trial. What I tell our clients too when I'm meeting with them, like first time we're talking, I say, look, I'm here today to learn about you and curate your experience through this litigation. We are building you we're helping you build a new chapter. It's scary, it's expensive, and it's sad, it's emotional, but I enjoy being able to make it a beautiful experience if I can for my client. And I'm not going to sit there and hear someone's vibe and say, well, whatever, I'm going to put a Mali vibe on it. I'm going to march you into the courtroom tomorrow. I would never do that. We are very careful about curating the client experience to match what we feel they're trying to build for their new chapter and their new life. And yes, there are clients that are very emotionally charged, and that's one of the most dangerous combinations, is an emotionally charged client and an emotionally charged lawyer. That's one of the distinctions that I think we have to recognize here, is passion in the courtroom and as an advocate is different from emotion. And I've been guilty of having emotion when I was younger and not knowing how to do that. How do you separate what you feel for your client from being the leader in the courtroom and in this litigation? But passion and emotion are different. And as we've talked about on here before, a family law attorney, you have to bridge the gap between emotion and business. It doesn't mean you can't be passionate in the courtroom. I mean, because that's one of the trademarks of a Hastings Shadmehry attorney, is there's going to be passion in the courtroom. And if you want to see that as aggressive, that's on you. That's a you problem.
Indeed.
Okay. That's all I got.
I just love you. I do.
Love you. Let's go eat food. I'm hungry.
You know what? I'm down.
That wore me out. But it's a cool topic. It is.
It is, and it's important, part of our goal in talking to y'all is to help you understand there's so many nuances in this process. And people that we represent, people that consult with us, they're scared. And they're scared of every piece of the process, everything that they don't understand. And so part of what we want to do is just help bring understanding to a very scary process. So Just know that aggressive isn't what people necessarily mean when they say it.
Yep.
So
Totally agree. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We will see you next time. Please be sure to follow us, like us, follow the podcast, find us on Instagram, Facebook at Hastings Shadmehry, and we will see you next time.
see you next time.
The Hastings Shadmehry Show is a production of Hastings Shadmehry Family Law and 1066 Productions. Produced by Ned Hastings and Kendall Walker and edited by Ned Hastings.